Don't wait till the battle's over. Don't wait till the struggle ends. Shout now, shout now, right now, shout now, shout now. Don't wait till you make it.
Hey, and welcome to the PHILLIP Show. I'm Philip, and it is so good to see you today. Okay, so normally we start the show with me saying grab your coffee. Well, today I am drinking tea, and this tea is from a local establishment called Brother Bear, and Phoenix Fire has this tea called Blood Orange. Listen, it is so very good. So if you're in the Yellow Springs area and you're downtown, stop by Brother Bear and get some tea. Tell them I said hello, the PHILLIP Show sent you. All right, so listen. Today, we're talking about character. How do we maintain a character, an authentic sense of purpose, an authentic sense of self, who we are? How do we maintain that when there's so many options and so many voices and so many conversations happening around us? Look, we're in the middle of the pandemic. We're in the middle of kind of a race conflict, if you will. We're in the middle of rights and what are rights, what rights are not. We're in the middle of all this news. How do you stay who you are and believe what you believe and stay grounded and move forward positively? And what does that all mean? What does it look like? So today I asked my friend Will Kitchen to come on the show and give us his perspective about balance and just staying grounded. And Will is an executive director. He is also a worship leader and pastor. He's a father. He is a husband. So he has in his everyday life the opportunity to decide how is this world going to influence not only him, but how's it going to impact his family and his journey? So join me in welcoming my friend Will Kitchen. Will!
Hey, I'm not sure who you were talking about, but it definitely wasn't me.
How's it going?
Oh man, living and loving life down here in Southwest Florida. It's hot, but the sunshine's pretty good.
Yeah. It's becoming fall. What's fall like in Florida?
I don't know what you mean by that word. Well, some words just lose meaning over time. Fall, winter, spring.
Yeah.
Not hot. There's just really only one.
Not hot.
Yeah, but I mean, it is. We've been here a year actually, so I could say that my experience with it, this coming into this second year, is a lot better and a little easier to handle than it was when we first got here. So,
yeah, no, that's I guess as you are somewhere, it just becomes a little bit more livable.
yeah.
So you heard what we're talking about, and the topic for today is balance and finding your way through your journey to really remain committed and stay the course. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, where you're from.
Well, yeah, I am. Name is Will. I'm 39, and I'll be 40 years old in about a month and a half. I'm from the Midwest, from the great state of Missouri, Southwest Missouri, and so grew up there most of my life. And I direct a program called Teen Challenge down here in Fort Myers, Florida, which is part of a larger organization, really a global organization that deals with people with addictions and life-controlling issues. I lived in New York City for almost 15 years prior to coming here, working with Teen Challenge and, leading worship in churches and things like that up in the city. I've been married for 13 years. My wife is not just my better half, but probably my better 3/4. What? And I have 3 young boys who are 8, 6, and almost 5, and they're pretty much the most awesome thing ever. And they love Uncle Philip. So hopefully one day they'll get to hang out with you again. I love sports, love golf, love learning. I'm a huge learner. Went back to school a couple of times, and which my wife was gracious enough to help me to navigate that season. And so yeah.
How did you get involved with ministry, specifically recovery ministry?
To be honest with you, there's a lot of things in my life that have found me. I was never a kid that had any sort of direction or understanding of the need to have direction. I was just kind of living life and made tons of wrong choices myself, dealt with addiction, dealt with issues when I was young, was arrested for drug possession, different things. And ultimately, God stepped into my life and took me to school. I went to Bible college, where I got to play basketball, and really ultimately the doors that were open to me, I just walked through them. And this was the one that was open to me. And I think that it was something that I had no idea, nothing. I knew nothing about the recovery side, even though I had kind of walked through my own issues. I didn't go through a program. But I fell in love with it as much for what I felt that my calling was in that area. I think is especially early on, as much as it helped me continue to walk through my own issues, because when you're dealing with recovery, it's not just a one and done type of a thing. It's a lifestyle, life change, life, transformation that's kind of ongoing. And so it's been something that, as much as of anything that I've done to help it, I think that it's helped me.
How did you get into ministry?
I think a lot of those things came to me late. Like I said, I played basketball. That was kind of all I knew when I was young. I didn't even really get into music a lot. I mean, I did some things, I did in high school. I jumped into the choir just because you had to have some type of a credit, music credit. And then it ended up turning into, joining the show choir, the production choir, doing a couple of musicals and things like that. I didn't start learning to play the guitar till after I got out of college. And that was more based off of need because of where I was. To be honest with you, I think my life has been a lot about responding to needs more than it has been like, hey, here's a direction I want to go in. Let me go pursue that. I don't know, something about the way that I'm wired. I see a need, I respond to a need. It gets my focus, it gets my attention, it gets me excited and motivated. And so I think my pursuit of music and then into ministry comes out of that, because you're constantly dealing with need of some level, whether it's functional or practical need, meeting, or spiritual need, emotional need. I mean, there's just so many different areas there where that calling or that gifting comes out. And I've just, I fell in love with it. I found purpose there, and it's been good.
Huh. Yeah, there's so many. I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about, you just said you found purpose there. And we were just talking about purpose and the journey to purpose. How did you know that was your purpose? How did you know that you found it?
Man, how did I know that I found it? I mean, there's peace, I think is a big part of that, in life. I think so many people, at the end of the day, in a lot of things that we do, we seek peace. We seek finding happiness, finding joy, finding a place to belong, finding meaning, finding connection in the things that we do. I think that there's all of that on like the human side, in terms of, all of that stuff works together, where I find peace, where I find blessing, where I find joy, wherever I find connection in the things that I'm doing, what gives me direction. I think that there's purpose in that. On the flip side of it, on the spiritual side, obviously being a Christian and somebody that believes in God, follows Jesus, it was being obedient to what I feel is a call that He's placed on my life. That kind of solidifies that on a spiritual side. So it's kind of the coming together of who I am as a person, paired with what I believe that God has called me to do and the doors that He's opened me to do it in. If that makes sense.
No, definitely. How have you, you have your kids, you have your wife. There's so many, like I was saying at the beginning of the show, there's so many paths, that are presented to all of us. And I know that a lot of people watching, they understand that as well. There's so many things that we can do. With you, you're around so many stories all the time in recovery, in church. How do you maintain a sense of direction, I guess, if you will, with all of these things happening all around you?
Man, that's a daily battle. Trying to figure out what to give your time to, and what to, what's going to be the thing that keeps moving you forward. I mean, to be honest with you, I joked about my wife being my better 3/4 earlier, and that's, I mean, the easy answer to all this stuff is I married well, I think that as you grow and you get older, and I start to learn about my boys, and I get even closer and closer as the years go by with my wife. You start to get priorities aligned, and where I lived most of my life without any priorities, because I just didn't understand having priorities and direction and all that stuff, that now you begin to take a different outlook on life, and family plays a big role in every decision, and your kids, and then not just the ministry itself, but the people that you're leading within your ministry. Like, it all kind of pushes you forward a little bit, and it's like, hey, we got to figure this out. We've got to navigate this, and I got to do it in a way that is true to myself, but also most helpful to those around me.
Yeah. As a father, we're in the middle of, first of all, COVID. There's just a lot of things that are in the national conversation. I mean, it's a busy time to ingest information. It's a very busy time. What does that look like? What does that look like for you as a parent, to kind of know that there's so much conversation about so many things, whether it's real news, fake news, it's just news, how do you feel when it comes to kind of being either protective or shielding?
Yeah. I never really thought about being shielding. We had a conversation, there's a lot of people having conversations about during these times, do we homeschool? Do we find a private school, charter school, Christian school, Catholic school, whatever the case is? And our two oldest go to public school. Our youngest goes to a private Christian school just because he's still at an age where he needs a full day pre-K program, and they have one and the other schools don't, but he'll eventually be in public school. Because I've never really been about shielding. I've been more about, teaching, I guess, through relationship, and just staying in tune with my boys and who they are and what they're experiencing and how they're reacting. Because you can see, year to year, my oldest is in 3rd grade, my middle's in 1st grade, and you can see year to year the different influences, and how they're starting to play in, even, songs that they hear and they know from school that their teachers use in certain things. And it's like, things the other kids talk about, and influences and stuff. And so, and that gets to be more and more. So, I'm not one to protect, I want them to experience. And I want to try to continue to posture myself or position myself to have conversations with them, and for that to be a safe place for them to, like, Dad's not gonna flip out, or Dad's not gonna just cut things off, but we can, it's cool to talk to Dad. I guess that's been more my perspective,
Yeah. Right now, there's a lot of division in the world, right? Depending upon, what you're talking about. It could be religion. It could be race. It could be whatever it is. It could be addiction. It could be, there's always these things that are dividing us. But, for your particular circle, you seem to be able to navigate through whatever the situation is and have people around you. So why is that?
Yeah. Without completely diagnosing myself with some sort of mental condition.
Yes, sir. Go.
Which I could kind of do with my mental health background, but
yes, sir. Do tell.
I think that this question is quite a question, and I think that your question is relevant, especially with where you started, because I guess I'm kind of like the poster boy when it comes to certain things. Like I'm a 6 foot, white, blonde hair, blue eyed male from the Bible Belt, rural, somewhat Missouri, and played basketball, captained the basketball team, kind of thing. And so that should pretty much predetermine that, I vote Republican, I drive a truck, all these certain things about me. And I've just, not really that I've never been that, but I've never found value in just, I guess, status quo, so to speak. And not that I'm rebellious and like I'm purposely out there just trying to change the game. But I just, I've always, growing up in that, I think there was a part of me that realized that the value or the importance of everything else that was out there. Like, why would I want to be stuck in one viewpoint or one perspective, especially the more that you get to know people and you get to be around people and realizing the power of diversity and the power of different perspectives, even perspectives of people that you don't agree with. Like, it's ultra important to have that in your life. And, one of the greatest things I think that ever happened to me was moving away from the Midwest and going and living in New York City for 15 years. And I've always kind of had a quality about me. One of my, character qualities in those tests that you can take or whatever is adaptability. So I've always had the ability to fit in or adapt to wherever I am. But, when it comes to politics, I'm much more towards the middle. I don't fall way left. I don't fall way right. When it comes to Christianity, I'm not a fundamentalist this way. I don't give into, what some of the more, liberal or overly progressive things, but I do see value in challenging some things to grow a little bit. So I think part of it, there's just something in me that, I don't know. I just always loved having a lot of different perspectives and influence and being connection. But then when I went to New York, that part of me just took off like just grew like a big tree. It was like something inside of me that was laying dormant was like let loose. And all of the, things that I experienced just kind of helped mold me into who I am.
Yeah, New York will do that.
Yeah. it'll cause a lot of things for sure.
Yeah. So I guess in that same vein, when you were talking about that, is that just who you are? Is that something that who you are, or is it something that you are very aware of and you like to maintain?
I guess to the degree that, somebody like you asked me questions about it, because I guess it is me from the standpoint that I don't go around, thinking about today, how can I be, diverse, how can I do this or do that? But I am also aware of the fact that that's probably not the majority, opinion of living life or the way that people go about it, which I think is an absolute shame. And so, yeah, to a degree it is, but also, listen, you go, I don't know. Once you start realizing how much your life is enhanced by so many different kinds of people, like I just, I don't know, I guess in some degree, maybe you do start thinking about it and saying, I don't want my life just to be some sort of, cookie cutter, stuffy, like why would I shut out everybody else? Like, it just does not help me accomplish, when you talk about purpose, how do I really help people if I'm constantly opposed to everyone, or if I'm so stuck in my own lane or my own way of living, my own way of doing things, and I'm unable to consider anything else. I don't know. You just can't live a life helping people and about people and be, and just, and be stuck and live some sort of cliche life, I guess, if that makes sense. I can't just be the poster child for the Midwest, and help people the way that God has called me to do that. So.
Yeah. And I'm so glad, I was so glad that you were the one who bullet pointed those attributes of the poster.
Oh, yeah.
Supposed to be from being the Midwest. Because I didn't want to be like, well, you are this and this. I thought it'd be awesome.
I'm fully aware of all that. I mean, I can't change it. I mean, there's probably some people out there, that may want me to feel some kind of way about it, but it's like, what am I going to do? I can't change any of that any different, but I can change the narrative about, that kind of a person, or change the narrative about, my own life and, how I treat people. And that's really all we can do, is I think that's a big part of it too, to be honest with you. The narrative of my family background and my own, or childhood and all that stuff is not a story that needs to be contained in any book anywhere for anybody. It's not box office hit type of material. So, I want to change that narrative. I want my boys to have a story, that they're proud of. I want the generations, from me forward to be, to the sky's the limit. Anything is possible. I don't want them stuck in some sort of mold, some sort of cliche. That was the greatest thing to ever happen. Like I said, for myself was to move, but then also I absolutely loved some of the most formative developmental years of my children's life. Being in New York City and being in churches that are predominantly not like us, and being ministering to people that are very difficult, and being in a culture, various cultures. I mean, they're from New York. Now we're down in Florida. I mean, you almost have two polar opposites, so for them to have all that, I really feel like it's gonna pay dividends, for their lives moving forward,
I think so too. The diversity and just the I guess the awareness piece and being introduced to it at a young age without explanation.
Yeah,
I think that is huge, because sometimes people are introduced to it, but it's like a bullet point or a list of like, okay, now we're going to do, like you were saying, now we're going to do something diverse.
Yeah.
But introduced to it in a way that, hey, this is life. There's all these people, and I didn't notice we were that different because we're all always here.
Yeah.
So I think that is, I think that's huge. Of course, New York is good for that, but I think with the perspective like yours, I don't think that would be missing either way.
Yeah. But even now, I mean, we're in Florida. I mean, it's but the neighborhood that we live in is people. It's the neighborhood is Pine Manor. People call it Crime Manor. I mean, if there's 10 white people in this neighborhood, I'd be surprised, and half of them would be us, for our family. And the school that the kids go to is predominantly, Hispanic, African American, they've never questioned it. They've never navigated one way or the other, which I think says a lot about people in general, and the way that we're kind of conditioned and pushed into certain things, which is probably the reason why a lot of things haven't changed in society. We're still working through the generations of people who really had strong, worldview issues with things like race or anything else that comes along with that. And I'm just so happy that my kids, there's not an application that anybody got to fill out. What's your race? What's your what's your background? How much your parents make? Like, well, all this stuff. It's just like, hey, you like sports, you like this, so do I. What's your name? My name, and I think that's the way that it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So off topic question, who is on your playlist right now? Go.
My playlist? Oh, shoot. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm a huge fan of Chris McClarney. So when it comes to worship, he's got a newer album out that is just really awesome. He's got this song called Good Love that is really great. And then obviously there's the other stuff like, Maverick City or, Elevation, stuff like that. I also, Man, now you're really getting me. I mean, I'm a big fan of a lot of different stuff. Who's on my playlist? I've been listening to so much sports radio lately, to be honest with you. With football coming up, starting college football, and all that sort of stuff.
And if you guys out there don't know, I just flashed his social media. Will's social media there. Just follow him because he has all the play-by-play on.
Oh Lord, no, man! I have toned down my social media so much because you talk about living a life of balance. If you're out of balance, like get off of social media, and that will do wonders to getting your life back together. But yeah. I don't know. I get in different moods when it comes to music. Sometimes I'll like a little bit more jazz, or sometimes I'll like a little bit more rock. Every now and then I'll jump into like a little classical phase because I'm like my brain needs to like detox, from the world, and so I'll jump into stuff like that. But
yeah, that is detox. Yeah, the world. Yeah, Facebook. Wow. Okay, so as we close. Maintaining balance in your character and who you are. What is one piece of advice that you would give someone, or something that you use to help you do that?
I think just a big part of it is just being really in tune with who you are and what you need, which I think that there's a lot of that going on with all of the discussion of mental health that's going around today, which I think is very important. I think we have to be careful with it because sometimes mental health is starting to somewhat become the banner that's waved over just trying to remain comfortable. Mental health is not really about being comfortable, but I mean, when it comes to, myself and just life in general, I like to remain challenged. I like to keep lots of different perspectives, I like to, talk to my friends and hang out with my friends that are diehard, gun carrying Republican, Trump supporters, as much as I like to hang out with my friends that are, mask wearing, pro-vax, Biden, whatever supporters. Spiritually, I don't just listen or read one type of, theology. I don't just read new stuff or old stuff. I try to mix it up, and try to stay fresh, in different ways because it can help. Same way I do with music, listening, switching it up. But in life in general, I mean, when I figure out how to stay balanced in life in general, I'll call you back and let you know.
Yeah, do that. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and we will see you later, everybody. That was Will Kitchen, and I'm so excited that you were able to just kind of listen to his thought process, hear some of the wisdom that he had when it came to even dissecting where to find balance from. And one of the things that I'm taking away is always be open to learning and being around people that are different from you. Listen to different perspectives. That will definitely open your world, open your mind, and it can foster the opportunity for that balance to be found. So I am super excited. And for you all, just remember that you are the best you in the world. We'll see you next time on The PHILLIP Show.
Don't wait.